Alright, what I want to take a look at today is I want to take a look at uh, some Windows 7 features. We've talked about some of the features. I want to go in depth with a few of these. I want to talk for a second about best practices as far as doing the upgrade. And I want to talk about transferring from XP to Windows 7. Talk about the anytime upgrade, and then we'll wrap up a little bit with the upgrade advisor. So let's talk first of all about Windows 7 features. Windows Desktop Host. Basically what Windows Desktop Host does is it allows you to connect to another computer. Let me give you an example on the screen. On the screen I've got the remote desktop client. The client allows me to connect to a host. And so what I want to do is, here I am working from home, and I want to be able to connect to the server that's sitting at Riviera Beach Maritime Academy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click connect here, and it's going to ask me for my password. And once I've correctly put that password in, I'm having to switch the screen here. You are now looking at the Riviera Beach Maritime Academy server, but I'm accessing it from my home. On this server is the Windows Desktop host, which allows me to connect to this computer remotely. So right now it's as though I was sitting in front of this computer and I could run these various programs that exist on this computer. Right here we have where the data is stored, various file shares that are available. For example, documents. This is where some of the student information is stored. Alright, and so what we have the ability to do is to connect to a computer right from my home computer. Now obviously that has to be set up, and I have to have the proper password and all that kind of thing. But all of this is done through the Windows Desktop client, which looks something like this. Now, Windows has built into it Windows Professional, Windows 7 Ultimate, or Windows 7 Enterprise has the ability to connect just like this. And so what I'm doing now, and this is off screen, is I'm going to my Start button, and I'm going to right click on Computer and come down to Properties. And when I do that, this screen right here opens up. Okay. This tells me how much memory I've got on this particular computer, whether it's a 64-bit or 32-bit computer. One of the options that's available over here is called the Remote Settings. And in Remote Settings, bring this screen over. In Remote Settings, it gives me the ability to choose whether or not to allow remote connections to this computer or not. This particular computer, my home computer, does allow for remote connections, which means that the remote desktop host is available, and as you saw, what I have at home is Windows 7 Ultimate, and that means that the Windows desktop host is available. And what that means is I could remotely connect to this computer from school and be able to manage and control this computer as though I was sitting in front of it. That's because of the remote desktop host is on this particular computer. Understand that the Windows Desktop host is only available for Windows 7 Ultimate, Windows 7 Professional, or Windows 7 Enterprise. It is not available for the Windows 7 Home Premium. Now, the remote client, the remote desktop client, this program, not only is it available in every version of Windows, but you could get this for a Mac, you can get this for your iPhone, you can get a remote desktop client for your Android device. So I could actually remotely connect to my school server right from my cell phone using this remote desktop connection. But the point to understand is that the remote desktop host, which is what we're talking about here, is available on certain editions of Windows 7. BitLocker. BitLocker is not available in Windows Professional. In order to get BitLocker, you must have either Ultimate or you must have Enterprise. These two features allows you to enable a feature called BitLocker. We will get more in depth with BitLocker at a later time, but in summary, what BitLocker does is it allows me to completely encrypt the entire hard drive of my computer, and with that entire hard drive encrypted, if that hard drive got removed from that computer and placed into another computer, it could not be read or understood. If I don't have BitLocker installed, what somebody could do, if a thief came in and stole my hard drive and put it in his computer, since he is the administrator of his computer, he actually could potentially get into some of those files that I had protected on my computer with things like security and NTFS protections. BitLocker prevents that from happening. BitLocker again is available in Enterprise or Ultimate. Location-aware printing. I can't demonstrate location-aware printing because I'm actually sitting at a desktop computer. Location-aware printing is when I'm working with a laptop computer. I will show you where it's found, and that is under Devices and Printers. And when you go into Devices and Printers, it will display all the variety of printers that you may have set up on your computer. Now, if this were a laptop, I would have the option to be able to click on a printer, and I could choose to say there would be an extra option up here that would allow me to set my print preferences. And what I mean by that is when I'm connected to the school's network, I might print to this printer here. Whereas if I'm connected to my home network, I want to print to this printer here. So what location-aware printing gives me the ability to do is to configure my laptop so that depending on what network I'm connected to, it will automatically change the default printer. The default printer is the printer that's got the green check on it, indicating that this will be the printer that's being printed to. And what it does is it will change that particular printer based on where it is that I am located based on the network that's connecting. A very handy device that I have set up on my laptop computer. Location-aware printing is available for Windows Professional, Windows Enterprise, and Windows Ultimate. So it is not available if you've got Windows Home Premium. It is not available. So again, 3 different features that are available, a little bit more in-depth understanding of what those particular features do. Let's talk for a second about best practices as it relates to upgrading a computer to Windows 7. Whenever you upgrade, no matter what it is that you're doing, you always want to back up your data. If there's any information on your computer that is important to you, back it up. Anytime you upgrade a computer, you have the potential of causing serious damage to your computer. Not damage in the sense of, oh, my hard drive doesn't work and it won't work again, but damage in the sense that the software won't run unless I completely erase the hard drive and start over. And so what you want to make sure is that you have backed up your data, so in the event of a catastrophic problem in the process of the upgrade, that you can wipe that computer's hard drive, reinstall Windows, and still get your data back. So always make sure that you back up your computer, whether you're doing an upgrade install or you're doing a custom install. Now, as we have looked at in our graphic organizer before, we have found that pretty much whenever you do an upgrade from one Windows edition to another, system requirements, that's not where I want to be. Okay, the upgrade path basically allowing you to go from one edition of Windows to another. We've learned that Windows XP requires a custom upgrade whenever you do an upgrade. You can't do an in-place upgrade. And the same, and even with some of the others, there's almost always some type of place where I have to do a custom upgrade. What I want to talk about for a second is if I'm doing a custom upgrade. So I've got Windows XP. I want to upgrade to Windows Professional. It's going to require a custom upgrade, but is there any way that I can keep my settings or my documents? And the answer to that question is yes. The answer to that question is a feature called Windows Easy Transfer. Basically what this program does is it gives me the ability to copy my settings to either a network location or to a hard drive, a removable hard drive that is plugged into first the Windows XP computer, and then after the upgrade has happened into the Windows 7 computer, and you can transfer your settings from one computer to the other. So it gives me the ability to transfer my settings and documents even if I have to do a custom upgrade. Alright, so if I'm going to do an upgrade from Windows XP, it's got to be a custom installation. I want to back up my data files. If I'm going to Vista, I have either I can possibly upgrade or do a custom upgrade as well. Alright, Windows Easy Transfer helps me move my files and settings from one computer to another. By the way, this can be used if I'm moving from one computer to another. So let's say I've got a Windows 7 computer and I want to transfer all of my settings from one Windows 7 computer to another Windows 7 computer. I can use this Windows Easy Transfer to move back from one computer to another if I wish to do so. The move can occur in the same computer if you're upgrading to a different version. Alright, so in other words, this is where your Windows XP comes in, where I am moving, quote unquote, moving my settings. They're going to be on the same computer, but what was on Windows XP now is going to end up, those settings are going to be on Windows 7. Alright, the way this works is it uses these MIG files. You don't need to necessarily know the details of this, but what it does is it copies all the information to a particular kind of file, either on a network location that's accessible from the Windows XP computer, or more likely what you'll do is you'll copy those to a removable hard drive that has enough free space on it to store all the files and the settings. And then when you get Windows 7 installed on the new computer, or you've physically moved to a different computer altogether, you can then reverse the process and take the settings back to the Windows 7 computer. You do need to note, though, that this does not work for transferring programs, meaning if I have Microsoft Word on my Windows XP computer, when I get done doing my upgrade, I am not going to have Microsoft Word on my Windows 7 computer. I am going to have to install Microsoft Word again on that Windows 7 computer. But with the Easy Transfer, the documents that I created in Word are now available in my new computer. When you run Windows Easy Transfer, which is a part of Windows 7 automatically. If you were going to do this for on a Windows XP computer, you would have to download the Windows Easy Transfer program so that you could run it. And what you would do is you would run it either to a network to transfer the files or an external hard drive. The other option, as you can see here, is you can buy what's called an easy transfer cable. It's kind of like a cable that has 2 USB ends on it. You plug in one end of the USB cable to one computer, the other USB end to another computer, and it would have the ability to transfer directly between the two. So Windows Easy Transfer is a great program for being able to transfer settings and files from one computer to the next. The next thing I want to take a minute and talk about is the Anytime upgrade. We've mentioned this before in class. The Anytime upgrade allows me to move from a Windows 7 edition that's got fewer features and be able to upgrade to a more powerful Windows 7. So if I had Windows 7, I could do an Anytime upgrade to Premium or to Professional or to Ultimate. In doing so, I pay Microsoft for a key. Once I get that new key, I type that key in and it unlocks the features for whichever item I chose to purchase. Now, you can't do an Anytime upgrade and go down. So Windows 7 Home Premium, okay, there's no way you're not going to upgrade to Home Premium. You already have it. But you could upgrade to Professional or to Ultimate. I want to take a moment and talk about Windows Upgrade Advisor. What is Upgrade Advisor? This is a program that can be downloaded from the internet, installed on your computer, and when you run this, it's going to be run on a non-Windows 7 computer. So this would be done on a Windows Vista computer or a Windows XP computer. And what it'll give us the ability to do is find out, will the hardware that's on my computer support Windows 7? Will the software that's on this computer run Windows 7? In other words, if I upgrade this Windows Vista computer to Windows 7, will Word run okay? Will that game that I play every day after school, will that still work under Windows 7? There was some software that when Windows 7 came out, stopped working the way you would expect it to. And that is for a variety of reasons, one of which was a feature called User Account Control, UAC. Windows 7 started using user account control, and so if you had a program that was designed for Windows XP and now you try to run it on Windows 7, it just wouldn't run properly because of Windows user account control or some other features. And so what the Upgrade Advisor would do is let you know if the hardware that you had would support running Windows 7 or if the software that you have loaded on this computer would also work. This is an example printout of what the Windows 7 Upgrade Advisor might look like. It would let you know that in this particular case a custom installation is required. I'm guessing that this is probably going from XP to 7. Yes, on a PC running Windows XP. So this is telling you that a custom installation would be required. And here's an example of software. Outlook Express would not properly run, the version that was installed with Windows XP would not properly run under Windows 7. And so you would lose this particular program. It would not work right. There are some similar programs, but it was not called Outlook Express. And so this is an example of what the Upgrade Advisor would do, is let you know where the potential problems may lie even before you try to install Windows 7. Here's a list of some hardware incompatibility. This particular looks like a network adapter was not compatible with Windows 7, so that would be a problem. Here's some questionable software. This is actually VMware, which is virtualized software, so this wouldn't be that big a deal. They would just have to purchase or install the newest version of VMware. But the point it's demonstrating here is that there is some hardware here, or at least some perceived hardware, that it's not sure if it's going to run right under the new Windows 7 platform. Two items that are compatible and should work fine under Windows 7. Application compatibility. This was a major issue when Windows 7 first came out. It's been several years now. I believe Windows 7 came out, I want to say 2009 is when Windows 7 came out. And so there's been a number of years, so this isn't as big of an issue anymore. But when Windows 7 first came out, there was a lot of software that would not work properly. And so there was an actual website that would allow you to be able to see, is there an application compatibility? Would it work for Windows 7? And if it didn't work automatically, was there anything we could do to make it work with Windows 7? And so there would be some features that there's some, not features, that's not the right term. There were some tricks that you could do with Windows 7 that could make the program think it's running on an older version of Windows. And so what this list would do is it would tell IT professionals what they would need to do to get particular pieces of software to run properly. The problem was, a lot of times, if software didn't run, there really wasn't a fix. I did have a client who had, when he had to upgrade from Windows XP to Windows 7, all of a sudden he had some software that just would not run. He literally had to go out and buy the newest version of that particular software because the older software just would not run under Windows 7. This particular website, probably not available anymore, was the Compatibility Center for Windows 7. Right now, Microsoft is going to be touting Windows 10 and the Compatibility Center and what will work and won't work. But this was something that they did have available that would help you to know what things would be compatible and what items might not be compatible. As it relates to your installation, whenever you install software, especially Microsoft software, you always have to enter in some kind of a CD key. They've moved away from the term CD key and they've started moving to what's called product identifiers. And the reason for this is because the product identifiers is a little bit more in line because we don't always install from a CD these days. Sometimes we install from a DVD or we install from a flash drive. And so to call it a CD key is a bit of a misnomer. Basically what this would do is make sure that the software you're installing is indeed licensed for you to install it. Windows, for example, can only be installed on one computer. If you try to use the same key again on a second computer, you would find out that it would not allow you to activate or to run the product. Some products it will actually stop the installation altogether and won't let you continue. With Windows 7, it would let you continue without putting in a CD key, but if you continue to use the product for more than 30 days, the system would automatically go into a limited use mode and in essence would become unusable to the end user unless they entered in a key that would allow them to activate their computer. Where is the CD key located, or the product identification key? Well, if you actually purchased a product that came with a disc, it is probably going to be somewhere inside that packaging. They're not going to put it on the outside for somebody to take it. If you purchase a new computer, you will often see the sticker with the activation or the product ID key on the sticker itself attached to the computer, usually on the back or the bottom of the computer. If you purchase the software by mail, you might get this through an email uh, wherever you made the purchase. In order to get your computer running, you must activate the particular version of Windows. If you don't activate it after 30 days, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the system would run in a limited mode, which would basically give you access to activate the version of Windows, but that's about all you could do with it. Registration, however, is optional. Registration is where you tell Microsoft who you are, what your business name is, where you bought your product, and things along those lines. If you do register your product, it does give you often the ability to get some technical support from Microsoft, as well as potentially some other benefits. Activation, everyone must do, or you can't use the software. Registration is optional, and it's just simply letting Microsoft know a little bit about who you are and what you're doing. That's going to pretty much wrap us up for today. We did talk about several things relating to the Windows 7 features. We talked about the remote desktop host, BitLocker, and LocationAware Printing. We talked about the need to back up your data before doing any upgrade, and then using the Windows Easy Transfer to be able to transfer information back and forth. We talked about the anytime upgrade and the fact that you could use that to go from an edition of Windows that had fewer features to an edition of Windows that had more features. And then we talked about the Upgrade Advisor as well.